Audit procedures for intangible assets. Right? As a point is out last week. As I said, for intangible assets, based on the entity, the audit approach most probably to a substantial approach. Because most of the companies during the period there are no much transaction related to intangible assets. So intangible assets basically maybe software, maybe goodwill, maybe kind of a trademark, maybe a development cost. So it's straightforward cost element transaction relating to this items. So then less transaction, let's say software maybe 5-6 software, goodwill maybe 1, trademark maybe 1, development cost maybe transaction 10. So very countable number. Because of that, we suggested to do full substantial approach. We are not going to do TOC. It's up to you to decide based on the entity. Let's say it's a kind of a research type entity. Their main task, main research is they do research. So then they are having more development type of things. If it is so, you can decide whether you are going to do TOC or not. That depends on your approach. Right? There may be one company is a holding company. What they are doing is they do have different transactions during the period, acquisitions, disposal, many transactions, right? Within a period, we are having many transactions. So then there are many transactions related to goodwill calculation, estimation, goodwill impairment. So if there are many transactions, let's say more than 150 transactions, so then you can do TOC. That depends on the nature of the entity. Basically, majority for intangible asset you can do substantial approach. Keep in mind. Right? So, once you are doing full substantial approach, what are the evidence you are going to check? That's the concern. That depends on the nature of the intangible asset. Nature of the intangible asset. Goodwill, internally generated goodwill. According to standard, we can't capitalize. Then which goodwill we can capitalize then? Goodwill generated from the acquisition can be capitalized as an intangible asset in consolidated financial statements. Goodwill generated from acquisition. What do you mean by goodwill then? So then, A company purchased 80% of B company. Right? A company purchased 80% of B company. 80% is what? 80% of the equity is being purchased by A company. Then their equity, let's say 10,000, equity 10,000. Reserve plus net capital. So then 80% means 8,000. Okay. So therefore 8,000, they are paying 12,000. They pay -12,000. This is called consideration. This is called equity at the acquisition date. So then, yeah, getting 8,000 for 12,000. You can see a difference. You are paying excess 4,000 for something, for some invisible things. You are paying 4,000. What is that? That is called goodwill. Why we are paying this way without uh, without having any knowledge or information? Are we intentionally getting a loss here? No. Why we are paying here? We know that there is a invisible asset over there. Earning power. That's why we are paying this much. The asset 8,000, we are paying 12,000. We are paying for. That is called goodwill. So the ones A preparing their consolidated financial statements, they disclose this as a goodwill 8,000. Memang dia ada ni pala dia. Dia ada ni pala. Dia lihat. Dia ada ni pala. Tapi perlihat ni masalah. 8,000 is goodwill. Ini katakan kan bukan goodwill kia. Goodwill kia ni boleh dia kan? Goodwill kia ni kan orang dana kia ni order. Api paper kia ni bukan. Suppose substantive procedures for goodwill. Ini kan paper ya. So memang dia ada ni tu. So then this is the basic goodwill. So then consideration 12,000 may arise from contingent consideration, cash consideration. You can transfer asset, maybe kind of a investment transfer, or else we have kind of a equity investment associate. We can transfer that, right? Different consideration may be there. Different consideration. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට ගන්න පුළුවන් විදි ගොඩක් තියෙනවා නේද? ඔයාලට සල්ලි දෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. සල්ලි දෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඔයාලට ලෑන්ඩ් එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොටර් බයික් එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Different mode of payments. Contingent consideration කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? අපි කියන්නේ කොහොමද වලේ දෙන්නේ. Contingent consideration කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Contingent consideration. Contingent කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Contingent කියන්නේ contingent untuk minta kali mana dia zaman kita dah ada. Contingent liability. Contingent liability contingent asset. Okay. That's it. Contingent කියන්නේ වචනේ එන්නේ මොකක්ද? Accounting වල වචන තුනක් ගැන කතා කරනවා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේක නම් පොතේ අයිනක ලියාගෙන ඉන්නේ කියලා ලියන්න. Accounting වල කතා කරනවා වචන තුනක්. Possible, probable, remote. Possible, probable, remote. probable නම් විතරයි අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? provide කරන්නේ. sure. sure නම් විතරයි provide කරන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ books වල provision එකක් දානවා. provide කරනවා කියන්නේ provision එකක් දානවා. probable possible නම් මොකද කරන්නේ? අපි provision දාන්නේ නැහැ මොකද කරන්නේ? disclosure එකක් දානවා. එහෙනම් අපි company එකට තියෙන possible cash outflows, possible but uncertain about the amount and the time. That's uncertainty. But possible. Sorry. Yes, possible. Possible uncertainties. What we have to do? We have to make a disclosure. These possible things we consider as contingent asset or contingent liability. Right? That's the understanding you should have. I hope you have that. So with that understanding, we are coming to contingent consideration. Contingent consideration means contingent consideration. Possible consideration in future. So then that will be happen based on some other activity that depend on that. What type of thing? So then we are going to acquire a company. We are having an agreement that that company should at least earn next 3 years more than 40% gross margin. If it is so, we are planning to give another 2 million. To pay this 2 million, there is another contingent action. So then what we have to do? This possible contingent task should be evaluated. If it is possible, if you can assume that if it is possible, you need to consider this 2 million. Within the next 5 years, you are supposed to pay this 2 million. What should you do then? You need to consider that as a consideration. That is called contingent consideration. Then what you have to do at the goodwill calculation, we need to use a discount factor and need to discount this 2 million from 5 million to 5 years to today. Why? We are getting that in after 5 years. We need to present value. That present value should be considered as a contingent consideration. Are you okay? Those type of calculation is very difficult, right? Difficult to understand in the acquisition date and the equity after acquisition date. So then acquisition can be happen in different types. Acquisition, consolidated type of acquisition may be there in different modes. So let's say year end, 1st Jan 2024, 31st December 2024. Right? This is the financial year for 12 months. Acquisition can be happen at the year end. Mid of the year. Start of the year. Right? Before the year end. This type of consultation may be there. So then whatever the point, whatever the acquisition point, you need to calculate would be low, gain or bargain purchase. Gain or bargain purchase. So then what's the easiest way? Pandani Unonia console. Out of the method console now, tomorrow. If you have a consolidation as at the year end, very easy. Why? We just want to calculate the at the year end net assets, and then consideration cross check with that and calculate fully. That's it. No consolidation for the book. Just line by line, you need to add that and calculate fully. That's it. No post-acquisition goodwill, no pre-acquisition goodwill calculation. Why? As at the day, all retained earnings should be considered for goodwill calculation for total equity. But once you are having acquisition this day, what you have to do? Whatever the retained earnings should be added this year profit, you need to split current year operation, current year profit and gains. And if you have set of adjustment for that question, right? If there are P&L impact, that P&L impact should be divided to this 6 month and this 6 month. And after finalizing all those things, you need to calculate during the period profit. And then it will split to two. One part should be added to opening return of the acquired company and calculate net assets and cross check with the consideration. That's bit advanced. Not easy. But here it's okay. Why? Current year profit, there's no need to touch. Opening return earnings. Opening return earnings can be considered as equity. Current year whole profit after acquisition, post acquisition return earnings, right? That will be a portion of consolidated return earnings. So then, if there is a question here, what we have to do? So then, we need to calculate return earnings up until this day, and the remaining part post acquisition return earnings. We need to add this part to current year profit to the consolidated earnings. This part will be considered as a return earnings, right? Return earnings for goodwill calculation. Pre-acquisition return earnings. After goodwill calculation, pre-acquisition return earnings plus the stated capital as at the date. So then that is called equity of the company at the acquisition date. Simple. Equity of the acquired company at the acquisition date should be compared with the consideration that is called goodwill. Once you have calculated goodwill, you calculate cost of control account, and this is this side consideration, this side equity, right? Normally this side larger, 12,000. This side 8,000. Normally, once you are balancing a T account, the higher value you have to carry forward. Right? You can see a 4,000 gap here. What is that? Goodwill. Credit here, debit to goodwill account. This is called goodwill, basic goodwill, right? So then, around here, there are different accounting treatments that will be discussed in corporate reporting class. To kind of an introduction, I discussed what's a goodwill, how we can arrive at this type of thing, right? Also then, not only consideration, we need to put NCI book value or fair value here. Then you can get, if you are putting NCI fair value, you are getting full goodwill. If you are putting NCI as book value, you are getting proportionate goodwill. We have two concepts, full goodwill and proportionate goodwill. Full goodwill means we are calculating goodwill for both parent company and NCI. Full goodwill. We are calculating goodwill for the parent company, that is called proportionate goodwill. Why? 80% we have, 20% NCI. If you are calculating goodwill for 80% only, we call as proportionate goodwill. If you are calculating 100% goodwill for NCI and parent company, we call as full goodwill. Right? So then, these are the basic concept behind goodwill. Once you are calculating goodwill, whatever the contingent type of commitments, all those things should be considered. Contingent liability, we just want to put a disclosure. There is a possible uncertain cash outflow in near future. But at the acquisition date, if there is kind of a contingent liability in the B company, that should be reported. That should be considered for the goodwill calculation. So those are the things we need to consider. So then you can decide what are the evidence you are supposed to take as a auditor. You are supposed to take as auditor. No need to write. No need to write, right? There's a request. So then we can decide the acquisition related board decision. Board meetings need to be checked. And then the evidence relating to consideration. As at the acquisition date, return earning calculation needs to be checked. And then if there's a kind of a contingent consideration, discounting rate should be checked. And the overall calculation, who is the person performed this, need to be checked. And then the approval of the goodwill amount need to be checked. That's it. So then basically accuracy of this account and the disclosure. So then as auditor, once you are performing substantive approach, these are the things you need to check for goodwill. And whatever the other assets, let's say trademark or software and related evidence and the board decision need to be checked. And for especially for the development cost, as I said in a previous lecture, according to LKS 38, we need to check the criteria. We have 6 criteria. All the criteria should be fulfilled to identify an intangible asset. The research cost we can't capitalize as an intangible asset, only the development cost, right? Research and development. Research may be a sunk cost. Research can't be capitalized. If you want to capitalize a development cost, need to fulfill some criteria according to LPS 38. That should be a development. We should have resources. We should have a committed plan, and we should have kind of a feasibility study. And then resources should be there. Likewise, we should have set of criteria to comply with to recognize the intangible asset in the books. So then what to check as auditor? Feasibility report. Feasibility report. Resource allocation. And then expense proportionate, proportionate expenses. We have done research and development. Which point we are going to split, allocate that cost, and the board approval and related vouchers for development cost. That's it. Basically approval, feasibility and the incurred expense need to be checked. You can suggest some of the evidence to check the intent of the uh, shareholders, board of management to complete this development. There are evidence that those are things need to check. Last week we went through that criteria, right? 38. මතක නැහැ. ස්කෑනර් එකකින් කතා කරා. To recognize development cost, these are the things we need to consider. As I said, technical feasibility, intention, the ability to use sell or intangible asset. This should be very important. So once we are developing, it should be kind of a possible future economic benefits. There should be a possibility to sell or use. These are the 6 criteria need to be fulfilled according to case 38. Okay. So then, these are the basic evidence need to be tested for intangible asset. Basic understanding should be you need to know the audit approach as I suggested. Normally, we are going with the approach, full substantial approach for intangible assets. Substantial approach, your substantive procedures We can't give kind of a list here. Why? It's vary with the company. It vary with the intangible asset. That's why I have not given the list of substantive procedures. The list of substantive procedures for goodwill totally differs with the list of substantive procedures with the development cost. You need to know that and suggest it. For that, I gave kind of a basic understanding of the accounting treatment of particular assets. Software development cost, internally or externally. You can capitalize incurred cost should be monitored, and if there's addition, amortization, that's simple. So then, if you are spending kind of a expense for Windows software, Windows is a special software. What is that? The OS, operating software. You know, like all those things. They are auditing the basic IT. Software can be divided into operating software and application software. Operating software is not an intangible asset, right? Only application software is an intangible asset. Why? Operating software is a PP&E. Most common topic is why? So we are having a computer, right? We are having a computer. Computer can be capitalized at the point of available for use, right? To get that computer to available for use, operating system is a must. Without operating system is what? Basic instructions to boot the computer. Example OS. OS example kamu Done Yeah. OS example. Mama OS iOS. iOS Galle. Windows Linux, Windows, iOS, Android, a platform में run में Unix software application software. The application software for developer का दान पड़ता है. अभी डाउनलोड कराना हो ना OS के लिए जो run में होगा. iOS के run में एक है तो ध्यान रखो. ऐसा एक run में basic platform में developer के instruction set करने के operating system. ये operating system के operator है. ऐसे अपने ना दान में प्रोग्राम में ये देखे मैच चैनल में मिलता है. जैसे बिजली देने का पास कौन सा एप्लीकेशन बिजली देगा. आपके basic instructions set है. आपके दिन में एक वो वर्ष में लगाने की या अपडेट है. මේකට ගෙනල්ලා දාන්න පුළුවන් application. මේ ගැළපෙන එකක් විතරයි දාන්න පුළුවන්. මේක කොලක් වගේ ගෙනල්ලා දාන්න බෑ. අඩයක් වගේ ගෙනල්ලා දාන්න බෑ. ඔෆිස් එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. ක්ලාස් එකක් පුළුවන්. වගේ basic structure එක depend වෙනවා use කරන application. So then, without having operating system software, Windows, you can't boot your computer. Then, application software cost, Windows purchasing cost for a computer should be capitalized to the computer as a PPID, not an intangible asset. Why? Without that, we can't get that computer cost to the usable condition. So then, OS cost is the PPME. And the application software cost is the intangible asset. Right? So that's it about intangible assets. Now I'm going to discuss. I assume that all the non-current assets, intangible, tangible, non-current assets, done. If you have non-current investments, let's say long-term investment, not only for 12 months, we have investment more than that. It may be a gold investment, it may be type of an FD, this type of investment. So what are the procedures you need to do? Definitely full substantive approach. Why? Longer companies, they are not doing daily long-term investments. Maybe within a year, maximum maybe 10. So then as auditor, what can you do? You can check 10 transactions, 10 different transactions. What do you want to check? Basically the approval and the payment, and then income calculation. That's it. Again, හිත කියන දේ නැහැ දැම්මම පොතේ හරි අපේ හරි ලියාගෙන ඇවිල්ලා මේක ලියන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. As auditor, what we need to check? If there's FD, what you want to check? FD investment එකක් check කරන්න නම් මෙතන තියෙනවා. Simple. FD certificate, approval, interest calculation, and external confirmation from the bank. That's it. Automatic, right? No need to view a list. So likewise, whatever the investment, whatever the long-term investment, same. Approval, interest calculation, whatever the documents, and there's a confirmation will be very good. And another thing is, let's say a company has invested 15% of B Private Limited. 15%. We don't have control. It's just an investment. Cash credit debit in the investment account. So then, this investment, we can check the approval and we can check the cash payment. Further, we need to check impairment. This is important. Impairment. What do we mean by impairment? We have invested 15% on this. If it is a loss-making company, I'm going to 50% down to another. They are not getting it. Company are company investment 15%. The particular B company don't have money. Return earnings minus current year loss. If it is so, can we get a return? No, no dividends, no capital return. If it is so, what we have to do? We need to make a provision for this asset because it is irrecoverable. As a result of that, we supposed to do a provision over this. So then, other thing is recoverability. What are they? Accrual, payment, approval, related payment, recoverability, interest, return, income. මේක ඕනනම් මෙයාලට පොතේ පොඩ්ඩක්. ඕනම දෙයකට මේක ලියනවා කියලා. Approval for the investment, related payment details and kind of a certificate, and income calculation and related entries, and recoverability test and the provision amount. Need to check. මොකක් ආවත් ඕනම ඔඩිට් පේපර් එක මේ රිලේටඩ් එවිඩන්ස් ටික චෙක් කරනවා කියලා ඔයා කේස් ස්ටඩි එකට මැච් කරලා ලියන්න තියෙනවා. හරිනේ? වෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්? Right. So then, non-current assets completed. So then, as auditor, as a student, now you should know what are the procedures for non-current assets. All things completed. Now we are moving to current assets. Current assets, what are they? Inventory. These are the three things we are going to discuss here. Inventory, credit and other receivable, cash and bank balances, cash and cash equivalent. So after completing this, total assets. So then you should know how we are going to verify total asset in a company in general, right? But each and every company, yeah, having very unique asset, particular industry. So then you need to use same approach, same skepticism for that kind of asset. But in general, we have completed all those things. Now we are moving to inventory. Inventory is asset. Asset, right? Having 5 assets. What are the assets? Existence, valuation, completeness, item application, presentation and disclosure. These are assets related to inventory. Inventory is a unique asset. What is that? Why is that? Inventory का balance asset देखा. उसका तो balance. Inventory. Inventory ගැන නවාට විනාඩි දෙකක් තුනක් කතා කරන්න උදව් ඕන කියන්නේ. කියන්න බලන්න කවුරුද inventory ගැන මොනවද කියන්නේ කිව්වොත්. inventory ගැන වචනයක් කියන්නේ කිව්වොත්. අද දෙයක් කියන්න බලන්න. මොනවා හරි දෙක කැල්ල මෙහෙම මාඩි දෙන්න ඕනේ. අද මාඩි. වගේ බලන්න. ada lagi itu barang tadi mulai ke level itu. Sana itu kali itu sebenarnya mulai ke level itu. Tapi saya mau itu booster, recharge, recharge itu aja dah kali apa orang. Itu kan di mana ada. Waktu itu mana ini? Waktu itu mana ini mana itu sekarang? Dia jalan itu, jalan dia. Dengan berapa? Pada dibuat itu kalau ada yang dibuat ini gitu, dibuat ini dia. Tahu kalau event dia. And then etc. Implicating and the whole. Was going on and then in fact here that is more than billions. As in the impact. Are you and was and then there is no. Are you stand and make the vehicle and make the vehicle and make the vehicle was in fact 1 billion. Meaning that is very sharp. It's not about anything. I take it over the become without the issues how to sharpen. අපි ඉගෙන ගමු. ඉස්සරහට අපෝ ඉගෙන අපි try කරන්නේ මොනවද කියලා දෙන්න. අපි ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක හදාගන්න ස්ටොක් කවුන්ට් එක කරන විදිහට ප්‍රොසීජර්ස් කියලා ඉවරලා procedures. Working progress here, you are needing or needing. Here, we can hear right? In the past, that are there, whatever garden still located. In school, still after the company. Question financial accounting, you are having a trial balance. You are getting one adjustment. You are ready. So, here in cash stock you will there. Here in PPE you will there. Right? In mega. Year-end stock is this year. I'm not going to do this. Adjustment that you not over there. What's the reason? Ada cash asset deka, PPN asset deka, inventory asset deka, receivable asset deka, inventory itu apa receivable. Ada yang assets mana, kita account ini mana dia account. Same account. Oh, I was the transaction related to that asset. It is receivable account. We have opening balance. Once we are selling on credit basis, receivable account debit, credit to sales. Once we are receiving cash, that account credit, cash debit. We are counting same account. We are getting the end balance, right? Okay. Cash on sale. Cash account, opening balance, cash receipt debit, payment credit, end balance we can easily get. That will be shown in the trial balance. How about inventory? Inventory opening balance. ये opening balance में डाल लेते हैं इन्हें वो होती है ना trial balance. Opening balance में डाल लेते हैं इन्हें वो trial balance. ये account में कभी मुकुट दर्ज है debit credit किया. आगे होगी. तो दर्ज है. वाला डाल दिया क्या? डालने वाले देखिए 5 दिन पहले डाल लो मैं. वाला लिंक करके नहीं देते थे कुछ नहीं. ඉතින් කරගෙන ගත්තේ ඇති මේ අපි ඉන්වෙන්ටරි කියලා account එකක් හදලා opening balance කියලා දාගන්නවා. අව කොහෙලාද year end එක අවුරුද්දේ ඕන තරම් ඉන්වෙන්ටරි transaction වෙනවා. මේ account එක debit කරලා credit කරන්නේ. මේ account එක මේ balance එක මෙතෙන් දාගෙන මෙහෙම කරලා මේක දානවා TB එකේ. year end TB එකේ මේ balance එක වෙනවා opening balance. So the inventory transaction අපි එක account එකක account කරන්නේ cash receivable PPNE වගේ. PPNE ගත්තොත් කොහොමද? motor vehicle නම් opening balance එක තියෙනවා addition debit disposal credit end balance එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි purchases sales returns inventory debit account එකේ වෙන කරේ නැහැ. ඒකට ඒවට මොකද කරේ අපි? මෙන්න මේ account එක. හරිද? එතකොට inventory opening balance මේකේ තියෙන purchases වෙනම තියෙනවා. cash creditors credit cash credit purchases debit. Right? And then inventory අනිත් එක මොනවද? මේක purchases මේක sales. Sales account එක credit. Right? Return accounts වෙනම තියෙනවා. ඒ මේ account එකෙන් ගන්න නැතුව මෙහෙම accounts වල දාන්න. තා ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඒක. ඒකෙම දාන්න. අන්තිම account balance එක. I'll get you what I'm getting. So then you better use the same account to get the final answer. Don't need to use the separate accounts for debit credit. Why we are keeping this different account? Because we are using different prices here. We are purchasing the one price, selling here the price. Right? Purchasing a different price, we are adding the profit when we are selling. If it is so, we can't keep those things in a one account. If it is so, you are mixing something. Right? That's why we are keeping different accounts. Right? We are keeping different accounts. And then, end of the day, end of the year, you are preparing an account called trade account. Trade account. Trade account. Trade account, you can say that this is a summary of inventory account. In other words, we can say inventory account. Well, trade account is inventory account is inventory account is reflection account trade account. Am I correct? Decide opening balance plus purchases, return and everything. Inside sales and all. So then end of the day, we are getting the profit separately. Right? So then here we are going to summarize these things. So then without having this account, we can't get year-end balance. Right? Year-end balance. Why? We are having these balances in different amounts. Different amounts. So then here we are putting in the purchase basis, credit basis, selling price. If we are summarizing this, we can get a balance here, but it's a different balance with compared to the available physical stock. So then because of that, what we have to do as the company, they have to do year-end stock verification, and the year-end stock should be valued separately and it should be given as a entry. That's why we are having a year-end inventory as a common adjustment of each and every account, right? Okay, right. So then, if you are having kind of an inventory system, no need to do physical verification. You can get the inventory system. So then, out, in and out record you can get from the system. That is the inventory, year-end inventory balance. That should be cross-checked with the physical verification. So inventory is a very unique asset to the company. That's the one uniqueness. We are not keeping a one account for debit credit. You get what I am telling here? Right. Then we are coming to that inventory types, straightforward, finished goods, WIP, and then material. Material. So, what type of do you have each and every inventory item in each and every company? Each and every company do you have material? WIP? Sometimes fully finished goods, no WIP and material. Sometimes material and finished goods, no WIP. Which type of company? No WIP. Material clear, no finished goods clear. Material WIP. Then processing and production life cycle, short term. අවශ්‍ය දැන් හතරකින් වගේ හැදෙන්නේ මගදී හතරකින් යොගට නෑ ඔය තාලෙ ස්ටොක් කවුන්ට් එක දැන් garment එකේ there are some garment items having some of the items need to fix this buttons and some parts should be fixed so the packing should be fixed so then those are only cutting phase so then those are WIP. But some production process is very small, very lifespan. Means that production time will be very less, like half an hour, 1 hour. So if there's a stop taking, then maybe the production will be stopped. And then once you are getting that production, there's no WIP. That's the case. Okay. And then once you are valuing this asset, whatever the purchase cost and then transport cost, those things should be added to the price. And keep in mind that you need to value this inventory with price, cost, and NRV maintenance law. Cost and NRV maintenance law. හොඳට බලන්න. බලාගෙන භාවනා කරන්න. You need to know the exact word cost. Cost. Exact word and that word NRV. Cost, purchase price, access, stamp duty, transport cost, each and every cost element you are incurring to use this inventory item in the content. That's called cost, the elements of the cost of inventory. So then to acquire this X type of inventory, we incur this much. That is called cost. Let's say 10,000. 10,000. 10,000. This much of cost we have incurred, we can see net realizable value. Net realizable value. Net realizable value. Two words. Realizable value versus net realizable value. What do you mean by that? Realizable value, net realizable value. Realizable value minus related cost, net realizable value. The value less cost to sell, net realizable value. Once you are realizing, what the return you are getting in future, net realizable value. So, net realizable value, and see 10,000. Normally, this is the scenario. This is the common scenario at 99%. Why? 99% cost එකට වඩා NRV එක වැඩි. N. Cost එකට වඩා NRV වැඩි. මොකද ඒක? Cost එකට වඩා NRV වැඩි. වෙලේම අපි බිස්නස් කරන්නේ ප්‍රොෆිටබල් කරන්නේ අපි ඉන්වෙන්ටරි ගන්නකොට අරලෙක තියෙන එක වෙන් කරන්න පුළුවන් කාට අනිවාර්යයෙන් වැඩි සෙලින් ප්‍රයිස් එක අනිවාර්යයෙන් වැඩි. So that's obvious that cost is lesser than the NRV. That's obvious situation, right? Like 99% inventory is that's business එක කනෙක්ට් අපි අරගෙන ඉන්න යාළුවට නම් විකුණන්න ප්ලෑන් කරන එක කම්පැනි එක හයිබ්‍රිඩ් එක කැපිටල් රිස්ක් 10% cost is less than the NRV. But we need to do that testing. Some situation, if you are having kind of a long outstanding inventory or perishable inventory in the life inventory lifetime, so then we are keeping this inventory last 3 years. Then outdated fashion, right? Technically not feasible that inventory item. Then expiry date is very recent. Because of all those things, that NRV value can be reduced. Right? If you are getting that indication as an auditor, as an accountant, what we have to do? We need to be vigilant about that decrease, decline trend, and we identify the related provision. Right? As an accountant, we need to be we call that prudent. We need to be prudent, right? Prudent concept. Whatever the loss you can see, immediately you can recognize that. Whatever the upcoming profit, now you can see a profit here, 5,000. Unrealizable profit, we have inventory 10,000, we can sell it 5,000. Do we need to recognize this 5,000? No. This is a not realized, unrealized gain. Unrealized gain we are not going to recognize. Other than realization gain. Unrealized gain, this is we are not going to recognize. But if there's a loss, let's say this is not 10,000, this is 7,000. That loss should be immediately recognized. That's 3,000 should be an entry to the books. Right? That is called NRV and post and NRV comparison. Now I'm going to discuss what do you mean by N. Right? So that the year-end inventory, not one element, right? Not one element. It consists of different inventory items. A, B, C, D, E. Right? We are having cost NRV, number of units. Cost 10, NRV 12. Cost 15, NRV 10. Cost 8, NRV 10. Cost 10, NRV 5. Cost 10, NRV 12. Right? Number of units 100, 50, 150, 100, 20. Right? Simple. Cost to year-end calculation, what are going to get? Cost NRV. Cost NRV. You have to use cost here. This is a value. You have to use NRV here. Cost here. NRV here. Are you okay? Just a So then this balance to value cost and NR. This is included cost and NRV. Are you okay? Because some of the inventory item cost, some of the inventory item NRV. We can't say that cost or NRV. That's why we are telling cost and NRV, whichever is lower. Okay? This balance included cost and NRV, whichever is lower. If you are using cost or NRV, whichever is lower, what you have to do? We need to multiply this balance, this versus this. That's called NRV. We are getting answer this versus this one answer. Right? This versus this one answer. Let's say we'll do that, right? First, NRV. The first column into quantity column without comparing, right? So the NRV column, NRV column. Right? The cost NRV. If you are telling cost ONRV, you need to get this one. This one is the answer. This one is the inventory value. But exact inventory value is 3,400 versus 3,940. This difference, what is that? 400, 540 prohibited by this standard. In a large scale company, this may be millions or millions difference. So then, inventory wise, we have to evaluate NRV and the cost. Do the calculation, get the final answer. That will be included NRV and cost or whichever is NRV and cost, whichever is lower. Okay. See this. This is the definition. Inventory shall be measured at lower of cost and net realizable value. Keep in mind, cost and net realizable value. So that's how we need to do the inventory valuation. That's the standard guideline, right? Okay. So then we know about what's inventory, the nature of that, the standard guidelines. Hope that you are clear. This out of the syllabus, this won't be tested in the exam. That's for your knowledge. Now only we are discussing audit approach, audit procedures, supposed to check in the exam, right? So these are the accessions. Right? I'm not going to explain accessions now. I hope you are clear about that. Existence, valuation, completeness. Completeness about so then always inventory uh, come up with the value that value derived from quantity multiplied by the value. Quantity multiplied by the value. Right? That's the inventory amount. This value may be first and maybe cost of the value into quantity equal inventory value. As auditor, this should be verified. This should be verified. Quantity linked with the existence. Existence, once you are verifying the existence, that will target on the quantity of the value. Once you are verifying the value, that's target on the exact value. Completeness. Completeness. We need to ensure that all the inventory items are being calculated, added to the exact inventory balance. We need to ensure that how we are going to ensure that all the inventory items related to this entity being captured for the inventory balance. That's not easy. According to the nature of the entity, there may be inventory items in different places. Different places. Different places inventory items, yes. Based on the nature of the company. There may be warehouses, island-wide warehouses, outlets. Some of the inventory items may be good in transit at the here and there. Transport can some items you have already purchased, those are at the port. Right? Some of the items will and hold. We have already purchased, that is the seller's location. Right? All those things should be captured to the inventory balance. That's called completeness. Another thing, whatever the sold inventory items can't be captured to here. Make a value admin. අපි sell කරපුවා bill and hold inventory by the company. Still we are keeping in the company, but already sold. It's a part of customer to carry this inventory item to their place, but they are getting some time to transport it. Still that at the premises, we are still capturing as inventory. That is one. The plus and minus. End of the day, it should be reflect the exact inventory item relating to that company. That's called completeness. That's called completeness. Then balance should be disclosed according to phase 2, presentation and disclosure. Presentation and disclosure. If there are kind of an inventory item already pledged to a kind of a loan, that should be disclosed. Whatever the non-moving items, non-moving inventory item should be, we have to make a provision. We need to mention the reason for that, right? Then right and obligation. We need to have the right and obligation over that asset. Those are the basic assets we need to look at on inventory, right? Especially the completeness, we need to check the inventory cutoff. Inventory cutoff. That's important. transaction. Okay. I think this is also okay. Cost and realizable value. The realizable value is identified by this as estimated selling price in our ordinary course of business less the estimated cost of completion and the estimated cost necessary to make the sale. Now, what we are listed less estimated completion. The keyword what already method. You can inventory item එකක් තියෙනවා. Inventory item එකක් තියෙනවා. Inventory. We need to sell it out. Some of the items, as it is, we can sell. Some of the items we need to add value process. Add a value to this. If you take a cost, that cost should be deducted. අපේ අද තියෙනවා මොනවද? මිල්ක් තියෙනවා. මිල්ක් තියෙනවා. අපි ගෙදර දෙන්න මොනවද කරන්නද? චීස් හදන්න. මිල්ක් වල එන්නාමි ගන්නවද? අපේ කම්පැනි එකේ කොයි වෙලාවකවත් මිල්ක් විවේකයේ දෙන්න පුළුවන් නැහැ. එන්නාමි ගන්නවා. What you have to do is whatever the milk you have, and then you need to estimate by using this milk how many cheese packets pieces we can produce. How many cheese packets? Let's say 50. And to convert this milk to cheese, there's a cost of 12,000. 12,000. Right? And then once you are selling this, we need to get commission or something like that, another 6,000. We can sell this 50 piece for 60,000. Right? So then 60,000 minus 18,000. 42,000. 42,000 is the NRV, realizable value. This 12,000 should be considered. That's why less the estimated cost of completion. Estimated cost of completion. Keep in mind. And this is that. Estimated cost necessary to make the sale for that type of commission, taxes, transport costs, all those things should be considered. Different inventory items. Ice cream, fertilizer, liquor. That may be type of I don't know, maybe hardware, maybe I don't know. So firecrackers, different inventory items. So then once you are doing this, verifying this existence as auditor, what you have to do, you need to participate for inventory verification. You need to observe inventory verification. No need to count, right? You have to observe. You have to do sample testing. That's the question. Do we need to check 100% inventory count as auditor? No. 100% we don't need to check. 100% we don't need to check. We can use the sample basis. We may have identified warehouses. We can select the material ones. From material ones, we can do some samples. Then inventory verification, conceptually same. We have to count, we have to observe the inventory count. But the way we are doing is totally different with the ice cream to fertilizer, to garment, so petroleum, right? Ice cream count करने के लिए तेल count करना, obvious, right? Liquor count करना. Liquor bottle ना ले सीने count करना. Right? Liquor bottle कितने expensive है? होटल लेने के बाद count करने के लिए कॉपी किया. तो bottle लेने के year end लेके भी कौन दिए? Bottle भी दिन है. Bottle लेके हम shorts का भी देते हैं. तो बड़े shorts आता रात को बड़ा देते हैं. Extra idea में So then, what we have to do? We have to count number of shots of used bottles. So the unit count is very complex. And then you need to have kind of a technical excellence. Many people look over the Google search the prices branding, you have that information, right? So then let's say if you are doing kind of inventory verification in a perfume manufacturing company. Perfume manufacturing company, they are using different materials, right? These materials, very unique materials, maybe ethanol may be there, some fragrance may be there, different materials may be there. So then, as auditor, you may not have that type of knowledge. What a make a vendor here, may තමයි මෙච්චර වටින මේ chemical එක කියලා. XYZ chemical. What a PQR chemical එක පෙන්නලා XYZ කියලා පෙන්නනවා නෝ දන්නේ. So then some situation what hardware එකට ටිකක් පුළුවන්. hardware එකට ටිකක් පුළුවන්. Observe what garment if you are in a different type of a manufacturing company, they are using different materials. If it is so, definitely you have to have the technical support. Right? Technical support. Engineer support should be there to value the inventory. That depends on the inventory verification. That depends on the company nature, right? Okay. So this is the way we can disclose inventory. Now we are going to verify this balance. The balance is uniqueness එකක් තියෙනවා මේ කම්පැනි එක. මොකක්ද? uniqueness එක. Google company है देखो समान है. Makeup company is a subsidiary other manufacturing. Other manufacturing group column में क्या है subsidiary column में क्या है same होगा अनिवार्य रूप So you have the four members, and if company is having inventories, your individual company balance as it is displayed as a household balance. So that's the issue in inventory. That's the your audit benefit. That's it. Here, they don't have any other subsidiaries for doing manufacturing process. Because of that, they don't have. That's why company equal. Right? You want interval? Any? Who's here? Interval. Owner than head. Owner. කොහොමද ආ ඉතල සෙලිබ්‍රේට් කරනවද නැත්නම් වොෂ්රූම් එකට ගිහින් යනවද සෙලිබ්‍රේට් කරනවා ඒක නගර වස්තු දීලා නගරෙත් උඩ කතා කරන්න තියෙනවා 11 දැන් වෙනකොට නවත්තන්න නගර Right. So this is the interface you can see in the financial statement disclosure for inventories, right? Simple disclosure. As we discussed, we have separate categories of inventory items: raw materials, work in progress, finished goods, and then machinery spare parts. They have disclosed separately. Yes, machinery spare parts. Actually, we can't consider that as a PPN, right? So we are considering that as a kind of a inventory items. Other thing is inventory is not a significant balance in some of the industries. Which type of industry? So inventory balance we are not considered as significant account, significant balance. Some of the industries. What are they? Example, banking sector. We don't have much inventory balance. Insurance, leasing, especially like pure service related entity. We don't have much inventory items. Let's say SAP campus inventory item more gonna put again papers that's it. Tables chairs name inventory name. Right. In a hotel again it's a service but we have food and beverage related inventory items. In a hospital again it's a service but it's having kind of a inventory items because medicine, cleaning type of things. Yes, some of the materials we are using for operations, all those things considered as inventory. So then hospitals they do have material inventory balance. It's purely based on the nature of the business, right? And let's say it's a power and energy business. Inventory තියෙන්න පුළුවන් මෙහෙම. දැන් ලංකාවේ වගේ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි නැහැ. පිටරටක ඉන්වෙන්ටරි තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. කොහොමද? Power and energy business එකේ what's the outcome? Created, generated power, right? Generated power that can be stored in a kind of a battery, right? Kind of a battery or whatever the power generated have not been released to the grid or national grid, we need to consider that as a finished goods. In here, we don't have whatever the power generating company, whatever the amounts you are generating, straight away you are releasing to the national grid. Right? In this one, we don't have finished goods for power and energy business. We may have some inventory spare parts, whatever the like these machinery spares, they are having large power generating plants to kind of repairs and maintenance facilities. We need to maintain some maintenance related inventory items. That's the only inventory item we are keeping for power generating company. It's also maybe if comparing to the value of the plant, that amount may be very small amount, right? Small amount. So then my point is, based on the nature of the business, the inventory balance may be vary. The significance as well as the composition as well as the nature of the inventory balance may vary according to the business, right? Let's say pick me, Uber, Amazon, virtual businesses, they don't have at least single set of inventory, maybe papers or something like that in the head office. Nothing more than that. So then you need to be careful once you are dealing with inventory balance because it may be vary with the nature of the business. Keep in mind. In general, I am discussing here, right? In general. Don't expect each and every company having significant balance for significant material balance as inventory, right? That understanding should be there once you are having that. Once you are dealing with audit procedures, that is the basic understanding nature of the balance. That background should be very strong to go through the procedures. I think now you are okay. You know the balance, nature, different aspects, types of inventory, accounting treatments, accessions, uh, disclosure, type of a disclosure, all the aspects related to the balance, you are comfortable. You know the balance now. Now we are going to do the audit procedures, right? And basically, if you are dealing with inventory, most appropriate approach is reliant control approach. What's the reason for that? Inventory is an area we are having different many transactions. Many transactions. Different inventory transactions. Purchases, returns, transfers, rejected inventory, obsolete inventory, different set of inventory items. So then within the year, there may be millions of transactions related to this. Accordingly, as auditor, you are a human being, right? You can't audit based on full substantive approach. Full substantive approach means you are not rely on the controls, operating controls, and you are supposed to get test of details. Each and every item, majority of the samples should be tested based on test of details. बाकी इल्ला inventory purchase करो, और चेक inventory return करो, और चेक बाला to extent of representing majority of the sample. It is not practicable. The most appropriate approach is rely on control approach. Are you okay? Rely on control approach. So then inventory is a significant account. Inventory balance sheet, we have inventory balance, right? We selected as a significant account. It was represented spot, purchases and return spot, and accordingly we did a walkthrough. It is concluded that rely on control or not rely on control. Based on that, we decided to do EOC. Based on that, you reassess the Based on this, you did the CRA. Based on this CRA, you did EOC. Again, you reassess the CRA. Based on this, you start substantive procedure. To this substantive procedures, the scope will be decided based on this CRA. Scope means to what extent you are going to do procedures, how many samples you are going to take. Based on the reassess CRA, based on the EOC results. EOC will be decided to CRA. This is the audit approach. Based on audit approach, we are going to do EOC. Otherwise, audit approach, EOC, rely on control. Otherwise, we are directly doing audit approach. If it is full substantive, we are doing substantive procedures. That is all about inventory. And here, we process the key part and the super part. ඒ නිසා බය වෙන්න එපා. මේක තමයි හැමදාම කතා කරන්නේ. හැම account එක ගැනම මේ විදිහට දැනගන්න. පොඩි දෙයක්. Whether you are going to do EOC or substantive procedure. Now we are going to discuss this and this. අපි මෙතන මෙන්න මේකයි මේක තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. මේක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. So you should know where we are. Okay. So then we are going to do client control approach. These are the TOCs you can do. This is very basic TOC. That depends on the company nature again. You have to customize this. Controls on inventory purchases. Inventory, once you are purchasing inventory, there may be different set of controls according to the company. Right? So then three-way matching and inventory purchasing invoice number should be generated from the system, and the approval for purchases, different set of controls may be there. That's based on the company. It differs with the oil petroleum corporation to hotels to garment manufacturing company. So hospital එක කොහමද? Check-in වෙන්න ඕන. Hospital එකේ check-in එකෙන් පදින්න OPD එකට register වෙන්න. Hotel එක නම් කොහමද check-in වෙන්න ඕන. Garment එකක නම් wholesale, retail වෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඒකට ඒකේ inventory මොනවද? base වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? MRA, material requisition note. Material request කරපු note එකයි, purchase order එකයි, payment එකයි. Purchase order එක, material requisition note එක, and then invoice and the payment should be cross-checked. That's called three-way matching. These three documents will be prepared by three different persons. That's called three-way matching. Why? Purchase order will be done by the production head, right? Payment will be done by the finance team, and then in between material would receive note GRN. Sorry, MRN, GRN versus payment. Material would receive note, material requisition note, and the payment. ඉල්ලපු දේ හම්බෙලාද හම්බුණු දෙයට pay කරලා. You need to cross-check each and every one and need to finalize the payment. And that three different source documents should be prepared by three different persons, headed by three different heads. Right? So the here production head, procurement head, CFO. Three different parties. Right? That control should be there in a company because during the period there may be millions of transactions. So then people can misuse this transaction for their self-interest. So then what we have to do? We have to be vigilant about the related control. We should have a set of preventive plus detective controls in the organization to reduce the risk relating to the inventory process. Right? Okay. Inventory purchases plus controls over inventory issuance. Correct? So after having kind of a warehouse, inventory issuance process should be you should have a very proper process. So that inventory, the kind of owner should be there. What do you call that? The warehouse inventory manager should be there, right? Warehouse manager, then he has to have that kind of access to the inventory system, in and out system. So then all the system related applications should be there, right? Yeah, then production එකේ විතරයි ආ inventory issue කරන්නේ. දැන් ගෙවල් පැත්තට නේද? අඳුරන කට්ටියට inventory issue කරනවා නම් ඒක ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Then that control should be there, and at least quarterly we should have inventory verification. නේද? එයා දැන් ඊළඟ මාස දෙකකින් එහා යන්න ඉන්නවා. යන්න ඉන්නවා නම් අපි ගොඩක් ફોකස් කරනවා නේද? එයා production එකට වඩා එයා ගෙවල් පැත්තට inventory issue කරන්න පුළුවන්. So then there should be a proper control over here. Very small process එක. මිනිස්සු කොහෙන් හොර කරනවද කියලා හිතාගන්න බෑනේ. මිනිස්සු try කරන්නේ දැන් especially South Asian countries. Then I work with different companies. I was appointed to as auditor for different large scale companies, small scale, medium scale companies in Sri Lanka as well as other countries, and I audited Qatar audit then compared to MENA region to South Asian region, totally different. Angati mama මගේ යාළුවෙක් කම්පැනි එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකේ මට ඔඩිට් කරන්න බෑ. ගිහිල්ලා ඇඩ්වයිස් එකක් දෙන්න නිකන් විසිට් කරා. එයාට තියෙන ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එක තමයි එයා කරන්නේ like they are collecting off cut of the garments from large scale garments. Off cut means the residual things after doing this. After cutting this large cloth structure, so then the remaining part, the off cut will be collected and we will separate and we can export that. Right? That's a core business. So off cut එක type එකකින් ගන්නවා. Maybe denim, cotton, different type of materials. So then carefully we need to separate it. And based on the color as well, white, black, red, then we need to do proper separation and that's the only value addition. After separating, we have a bulb, we are getting kind of a bale type of thing and pressing and having kind of a one bale and we are exporting. That's the process. So for that separation process, we can't do using kind of a machine. We are using people, right? People practically use them, they separate them. So we not 75 away. They cut the other car. How say another can be done? Then get. You can look at the again. Again, if it is more than a kind of a pillow. क्या करता है? आवाज़ लांच आवर के मेरे गोली करने के लिए ना कैंपेन के लिए आ रही है इधर है. So then, imagine that, right? So then, in our country that level, so we are working for a company. That may be you can't justify that. One of situation का पूरा दिन क्या कर रहा है? एक company के वैल्यू करने को होता है. तो आप company को मांगे के लिए देना था. एक कंपनी बैठे करना कंपनी मांगे नवे दाता कंपनी बैठे करना कंपनी मांगे नहीं किधर का आगे कंपनी का आदर है हमारा कंपनी में बैठे आगे रूम में तो लास्ट करना आगे किधर लास्ट करना हम लोग करना किधर लास्ट करना हम मानता है कौन हमारे Iwa teman ada no setelah fotos dia no ada iteration ada paling gedera dia no paling office ke dia office ke tu ino order room में रखते हैं और department के रखते हैं वहाँ में मेजर आसन है नहीं करते वह बनाने में के लिए हमारे पास जाएगा नहीं जाओ ये वाली मेंटलिटी है कितना मनी लाइफ है एक दिन मनोहर की तो मेरे दिया था अगर वह जीवन में बैठी रहा है और वीकेंड के बैठे रहना ओवरनाइट के बैठे रहना नहीं मैंने जीवन दिया ना जीवन में बैठी रहा है मैंने तो वहाँ इतना हमारे ऑफिस से नहीं बैठा बैठा वह वेतन ट्रैकिंग क्या है वह वेतन ट्रैकिंग क्या है वह मीटर वाटा में डाल देगा मीटर वाटा में तो मालूम वाटा होगा मीटर वाटा हुआ में तो ये दाल करना वह कितना डिजाइन में मैं डिजाइन में डाल सकता था मीटर वाटा आ सकती है नॉन दो प्लेस वह कितनी मालूम लगी ना कितनी मालूम था कितना ना वह great employee right then that attitude makes you change. That's a requirement in a modern world. Attitude, you can sell it. Good attitude. Definitely you will be promoted to have that attitude. So that attitude should be there. In South Asian region, 95% people don't have that. They are not working for this. They don't, at least they don't think about it. That is not the case, right? So then if you want to enjoy your job, you have to do that dedication. So then if you don't have that kind of mentality, you can do this type of second class work, not the second class, third class work. That's why here we have different issues in petty cash to main cash to different areas. So issues, everything we need to check. Each and every person having type of a corrupted mindset depend on the self-interest. They don't know the real value of the job. They are measuring the value of the job based on the self-benefit. That's not about you. You need to enjoy your job daily. And the satisfaction should be the outcome, not the salary. So select a job like that, otherwise you are suffering. You are focusing about the month-end salary. That is not the satisfaction. That should be a byproduct. ඒක තමයි මම කියන්නේ degree එකේ byproduct එක pass එක නේ. Real value එක, knowledge එක, ඔයා කොච්චර improve වුණාද කියන එක. Based on that, you will be rewarded the pass. That's okay. Based on your outcome, you will be rewarded the salary. You will be rewarded the promotion. That's obvious. You are deserved, right? It will definitely come to you. So then, if company doesn't do that, nature will give you that, sure, right? But you have to focus about the outcome. You need to be a person satisfied from the outcome, not the comments, not the salary. So then if you measure your value based on the monetary terms, that's not good. Monetary term is the one part in the life. So then monetary value is very less than the qualitative values. Qualitatively, we have different values. Some of the things you can't measure at least, right? So then those values need to be focused on just selecting a job, on just performing a job. That attitude is a requirement. Try to develop that through an interview program, right? So then, lacking of that, we are having several audit issues like this related to inventory. Inventory is the area we are having millions of transactions. Because of that, we need to be vigilant about this type of society. There are many issues. Because of that, as a company management, we need to fix different controls, preventive detective controls. And that should be, it's creating a cost to the entity, but we need to fix. As auditor, we need to check under EOC. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද කියන්නේ? කැම්ප් එකේ එනකොට චෙක් කරන්නේ නැහැ, යනකොට චෙක් කරන්න කන්ට්‍රෝල් එකක් දාන්න වෙනවා. නැත්නම් මොකද කරන්නේ? CCTV එකේ පේන්නේත් නැහැ. බෑග් තියලෙන්න කියන්නත් බෑ, කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය ගේන්න බෑ. ෆෝන් තියලෙන්න කියලා තියෙන්නේ. ෆෝන් ගේන්න බෑ නැත්නම් ෆෝන් එකේ කෝල් එකේ තමයි කෝල් එකේ ඉන්න ගමන් තමයි දෙන්නේ. ප්‍රතිගාලි චේන්ජ් කරනවා. දෙන්න හාසලට ෆෝන් එකේ ඉන්න ගමන් තමයි මාල්ද පොල්ද කඩන ගමන් තමයි මේක කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ෆෝන් ගේන්න බෑ කොහොමද? ඒක ප්‍රොහිබිටඩ්. කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය සිකියුරිටි එකෙන් ගේන්න බෑ කියලා දාන්න බෑ. කෑම කන්න ඕනේ නැත්නම් සිකියුරිටි ගාවාඩිය තමයි කෑම කන්නේ. දැන් මොකද කරන්නේ? දැන් කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය ගේන්න දීලා බෑ. ඒක කියන්න බෑ මිනිස්සුන්ට. අනිවාර්යෙන් එනකොට ලන්ච් ෂීට් එකේ තමයි කෑම ගේන්නේ. කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය ගේන්න බෑ කියන්නේ. එහෙම කියන එකත් සමහර මිනිස්සුන්ට කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය ගන්න ඕන නැහැ. It's not good, right? ඔන්නෝන ප්‍රශ්න කම්පැනි එකකට තියෙනවා. නේද? ඊට පස්සේ අපි හිතනවා දැන් මගෙන් අහනවා මොකද්ද කසුන් කරන්නේ දැන් මේකද කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය එපා කියන්නේද? කැම්ප් පෙට්ටිය නතු කරන්නද? දැන් යන අවසන් 75 දිනක කැපිටල් චෙක් කරන්න දාගත්තු සිකියුරිටි තව ප්‍රොසෙස් එක සිකියුරිටි සර්වර් එකක් වැඩි කරන්න. නේද? ප්‍රශ්න තමයි. මේ බාර්කෝඩ් එක දිහා ෆින්ගර්ප්‍රින්ට් එක තියෙන්නේ දේශීය අපිට. ප්‍රසන්ට් මේව කරලා. අරම චෙක් කරලා නැහැ. CCTV එකක් නැහැ. ඒකට දැන් ඉතින් මේ ආම චෙක් කරන්න ගත්තේ නැහැ. ස්ට්‍රික්ට්ලි කියලා තියෙන්නේ කරන්න බෑ කියලා. චෙක් කරනවා රැන්ඩම්ලි චෙක් කරනවා කියලා තියෙන්නේ. සමහර දවස්වල කැපිටල් චෙක් කරනවා කියලා මා සතියේකට දවසකට තුන් දිනක විතර චෙක් කරනවා. ඒකට බයයි මැසේජ් එක යනවා. ප්‍රිවෙන්ටිව් කියන්නේ ඩිටෙක්ටිව් කන්ට්‍රෝල්ස් වල මැසේජ් එක ගියාම ඇති. This can be tested. So then because of that we can't do. After that count right? So then those type of controls should be there. So the government taking a bargain and either a gilla button or a bargain very difficult to manage that type of employee partner in the government because so they are they have not people of it. Surely they have not taken kind of education and they have not taken the higher education. That's the reason. That's a knowledge gap. As a result of that knowledge gap, they do some third class work. As a company, we need to focus. That's why they are saying. That's why they are rewarding kind of a less salary. They are having kind of a wages, not salaries. That's the reason. That's the knowledge gap. Because of that knowledge gap, they do some third class works. So then, as management, we need to look at that. We need to look at that and we need to control them. Right? It's very difficult. It's very costly. Okay. And then security controls like CCTV, and we can have kind of a insurance covers, and we can do security presence. Different aspects, electricity-related security measures, and fire extinguishers should be fixed. Right? All those can be there, and then fire training should be there. Right? Then that is kind of a requirement. PNR. PNR means resilience type of things. Resilience process should be there. Business continuity, right? Business continuity management, business impact analysis. Without affecting to the customer, how we can continue our business. That should be there. If there's a disaster management, backup planning, all those concepts came into the picture because of this risk. To address this type of risk, we should have processes for this type of areas. So then, inventory is the core process of a business. To continue the business, definitely inventory process should be fixed. There's an impact or disaster or fire in the inventory section, definitely that whole company will be damaged. So then, what are the backup plans we have? How we can manage it? So if there's a fire in a government, how we can manage it? After fire, whenever fire extinguishers fire brigade control, right? So fire awareness should be there. The training should be done. All those things come under security controls. That depends on the company, right? Fragrance manufacturing company. Don't name sanitizer manufacturing company. Sanitizer manufacturing the materials are very sensitive materials are there. The high evaporation. Yes. So then, equipment even fire එකක් ඉන්න පුළුවන්. මොනවාරි ස්පාර්ක් එකක් හරි මොනවාරි දෙයක් වුණොත් කොහොමද කියන්නේ? highly inflammable. ඉනි ඇවිදින සුළු. this type of things, we are using this type of materials, we need to be very careful. Those materials should be stored in different places. The safety should be there. The same, let's say we are using ethanol, right? All the ethanol barrels, if you are keeping one place, it's a risk. So then we can use separate places. Likewise, we should have proper controls over there. If we have opened that, definitely we have to get out from the source, right? So that if we open now, this evaporate to the air quickly. Wow, okay. Barrel එක open කරලා දවසක් තිබුණොත් barrel එක ඉවරයි. ඒක මේ වෙනවා. evaporate වෙනවා. වාෂ්ප වෙනවා. So then inventory is a kind of a sensitive area. So then let's say we have a ethanol barrel we purchased last week. One ethanol barrel is there, we purchased 2 months back. So now we have no properties. Other subject amount we have set. Why? There's a normal loss. Without opening the barrel, there may be evaporation. That evaporation may be material to them. Evaporation. That's called a normal loss, right? So then as auditor, we need to check that. So then that's kind of a scientific formula. So then based on the chemical you are using. If it is a open barrel, if you have opened that in one time, still you are using that barrel last 2 months. So then you are using that, but still we assume that this much of ethanol may be there, but that is not. So there is a normal loss, evaporation loss, keep in mind. So then those things should be captured in a systematic manner to do a proper verification of inventory. And then NRE testing and standard costing. NRE testing and standard costing. What do you mean by that? I discussed NRE testing. NRE testing you can do. So as the management, they should have a process to evaluate NRE and calculate it. There should be a process. That process control related to that process, person who are doing that, how you are getting this NRE, what is the calculation, are they doing this in manual way, are they using Excel formula for this? Likewise, you can check that related controls, right? And then standard costing. Standard costing. Standard costing. What do you mean by that? Any idea about this? Standard costing. In a manufacturing company, standard costing is a very sensitive area, very confidential area, sensitive confidential area. Right? Normally, standard costing related information will not be given to audited as this. It is difficult to get that. What do you mean by that standard costing? I'm going to manufacturing company වල තමයි තියෙන්නේ. let's say t-shirt to manufacture t-shirt, we should have a standard costing formula, right? Material, maybe 500. Material 500. Buttons and other 50. Labor 300. Other packing 200. Altogether 50. The costing per one product, one unit. This is the costing, standard costing. Standard costing. These are finished goods, right? Fine. So this material may be in different stages. Material may be clothes, threads, different items, different type of buttons, right? And then in the company we are having different stages. WIP level 1, WIP level 2, WIP level 3. If it is a garment item at the WIP level 1, it will be factor of Galle, right? WIP level 1. WIP level 2, so that you have done something, you have completed this sewing part, and then it's supposed to attach the buttons. The halfway through, not halfway through, like 2/3 completed, right? WIP level 3, you have already completed packing stage needs to be completed. We have 3 different stages. 3 different stages. Each and different stage you may have different cost standards, value standards. You should know what are the items in this standard, at the cut-off date. Make a ongoing process daily make a transfer. So as at the cut-off date, that's just December. What are the level 1 WIP, level 2 WIP, level 3 WIP, and you should know the standard costing formula. Now what ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා? මේකේ costing එක බලලාගත්ත භාගයට හදපුවා විකුණන්න කොහොමද? එන්නාපි ගන්න කොහොමද? ඒක භාගයට හදපුවයි WIP level 2 කියන ඒවායි එන්නාපි තියනවද? එන්නාපි තියනවා. කොහොමද යන්නේ? කලින් කතාවද ඒක කම්ප්ලීට් කරලා විකුණන්න පුළුවන්. විකුණන්න පුළුවන් නම් කම්ප්ලීට් කරන්න යන්න. මෙන්න මේ කැලේට යන කොස්ට් එක අඩු කරලා selling cost එක අඩු කරාට පස්සේ ගන්න මේ calculate cost එකට වඩා අඩු නම් you are getting a lesser value than this cost, definitely there should be a next, right? And then I told that standard costing formula is a kind of confidential one. For a company, for a garment manufacturing company may not be that much confidential, right? But let's say this formula is for right? Let's say gold market. Gold market. Gold market is the degree market is the cavity. මොකටද යන්නේ? ඉතිරි මාර්ග. ඉතිරි එහෙම જાති දෙකක් තියෙනවා නේ. මේක තියෙන්නේ රතු පාට පැලට් එකේ. මේක තියෙන්නේ කහ පාට. මේක දුන්නා. ඒක දෙකම මාරි රස දෙකක් නේ. දෙකම මාරි රස දෙකක්. එහෙනම් මොකද වෙලා ඇත්තේ? ගෝල්ඩ් මාරි වල ස්ටෑන්ඩ් එක මාරි එක standard costing formula එක අනිත් මාර්ගයේ standard costing formula එකත් එක්ක වෙනස්. ඔයාලට මේ standard costing formula එක හම්බුනොත් ඔයා කඩේ මාර්ගය ගන්න ගෙදර මාර්ගය ගන්න. ඔයා දැන් අපේ අම්මා වීඩියෝ channel එකට මාර්ගය හදලා දෙන්නේ කියලා. ඔයා කෙලින්ම දාන්න මාර්ගය හදලා දෙන්නේ ගෝල්ඩ් මාර්ගය හදලා දෙන්නේ. तो यार बिजनेस के टाइम पास ना ये नहीं तो यार गोल्ड मार्केट में वाद पता ना गाने के लिए कितने सुपर मार्केट का गोल्ड मार्केट है so then standard costing formula of a manufacturing company is a highly confidential thing because with this standard costing formula we know that it's a number and a value. We are missing the recipe of the item. Why? We are telling that for this Mari, we are having flour this much, essence this much, sugar this much, and the values, right? We are not giving at least the amount because we are keeping that amount aside and we are giving the value to auditors. After value to the auditor, Mari is the value to Mayo auditor done auditor done sugar මෙච්චරයි sugar value එක මේක මෙච්චරයි sugar කිලෝ එකක් කීයද කිලෝ එකක් 200 නම් මේකට අරන් තියෙන්නේ value එක 50 නම් එහෙනම් amount එක මෙච්චරයි එහෙනම් audit team එකේ කට්ටිය අනිවාර්යයෙන් මොකද මාගේ හදනවා ගෙදර skepticism එකක් තියෙනවා business එකේ ගණිත දන්නේ නැහැ. That's another story, but they will try to do Mari at the home. At least go. He can do that because of that risk. That standard costing formula will be given to the basic audit team. Normal audit team. That will be disclosed to audit partner or a very senior member in the audit team. Right? That's a kind of a limitation. You can't say that it's a kind of a scope limitation. That's a business sense. Fair enough, they can't reveal that to the society. So with this thing, standard costing formula should be updated. Formula should be updated. I'm not telling that the quantity, the value should be updated with the inflation. Standard costing formula quantity, the mark is same with the last 10 years. Relevant cream cutter with much cream cutter, right? Two different tastes. The last 10 years, last maybe 5 years, same taste because the quantity is same, but price should be updated. Why? With the inflation, the material price getting changed. With that thing, formula should be same, the prices should be updated. Accordingly, the amount should be updated. That should be tested by the auditor. You may not have a chance, but the senior member of the audit team maybe have that access. You have to check that. In the company, you should have a proper process to update this and monitor this. That process should be tested under TOC. Who is the person who are having this access? How we are going to save this information? Data security, confidentiality. So then people who have the access, what are the positions they are heading? All those things need to be changed. Right. Standard costing, then inventory verification. Inventory verification and physical observation. Same meaning, right? Here what is that? That's a control. In the company side, they should do 100% inventory verification continuously. Continuously, like monthly, quarterly, or at least twice a year. Half of the year, right? So then annual inventory verification should be done by the management for all the inventory items. So then there should be a proper controls to ensure the completeness. The people who are participating for inventory verification, who are the people observing that? Are we using finance division to observe it? Those controls should be there. As auditor, you need to check inventory verification related controls. Have they done kind of a inventory verification last 3 quarters? If they have done it, they have adjusted it, the year-end inventory verification may be very easy, right? Very easy. Okay. Then IT controls related to inventory. There may be different IT controls. Maybe depend on your system, maybe depend on your manual, IT dependent manual controls. Different set of controls may be there based on the company nature, inventory nature, right? With all those things, they are completing POC. And we are moving to substantive procedures. Substantive procedures depends on the TOC. Why? We have completed TOC and we are moving to the substantive procedures. We completed TOC, reassess the CRA, and based on that scope, we do the substantive procedure. Same process, the evidence may be checked under substantive procedures. The first one, physical observation of inventory. What we have to do is, we need to plan it, we need to go to the location, we have to check the inventory. Check the inventory, we have that separate process, we can discuss that. And then reconciliation. Reconciliation is what? Reconciliation. We need to do the reconciliation. Reconciliation between physical verification with the system and the general ledger. Some companies, general ledger is a different one. Operating system is a different one. Physical verification is a different one. Physical verification should be checked with the operating system, that should be reflected with the GL. All those things should be reconciled. Right? Same thing. NRB testing. Here we have the process, here we have the testing. Under testing, what we have to do? They have done it. You have to select sample and check the NRB process. What you can do is select some items, checking the market price and related cost. Calculation should be done. What we are doing, bigger bottle later. NRB make a market price. What market price is so you have social media, you have kind of related products, related websites are there, price lists are there. You have to depend on a accurate price list in the market. First check with that, and then check with the NRB calculation. You should have proper evidence, right? And then third-party locations. Third-party locations. You may have inventory items in different parties. You have already purchased, not transported to your location. You have purchased still at the port. Different locations, right? And outlets. Outlets, we have given inventory, but the risk with us definitely is an inventory item for us. So then that should be calculated. So then what we can do is we can spread our inventory verification to that location. If we are not doing that, we need to get a confirmation from them. For third party locations. Bill and hold inventory items. Bill and holding, we have already sold, we are holding that inventory in the company, that should be removed from the system. We need to check that. Standard costing formula, again, there we check the controls, here we checking the numbers. And inventory aging and the non-moving items. What you have to do, you have to get the inventory purchase date and the with current date, we can check the inventory aging. If we have expired inventory, we need to do provision. Long outstanding inventory, non-moving items, for those things, you can see is we have inventory provision here. Provision for what? Slow moving machinery spares. Machinery spares are there, slow moving items here. And I provision here last year, this year same. Again, what was that there? මේ අවුරුද්දේ එක වැඩි වුණ නැත්නම් මොකද අඩු වුණ නැත්නම් මොකද කියලා. ඔඩිට් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ නෝට් එක බලන්න. Then disclosure requirements as per LKS 2 related disclosures. Maybe cost, NRV value, if there's a change, reason, asset pledge, the pledge inventory item should be disclosed, and whatever the slow moving item provision should be disclosed. All those things should be disclosed under the case 2 disclosure. And insurance coverage you can check. If you are dealing with kind of a large inventory load, you should have proper insurance, right? By covering average inventory turnover. Wow. Inventory maturity you can earn an average quarter daily කොච්චර තියෙනවද? You can have an idea, right? Wow. For that you have to have a proper sum insured value once you are getting your insurance, right? And so insurance coverage should be covered all the criteria. So then you need to disclose that we are using this type of a chemical and we don't have fire extinguishers or kind of a fire safety measures we don't have. All those things should be disclosed and we need to get the insurance covered. Otherwise you can't get a claim. These are the basic things you need to consider, right? So then physical observation is very important. The way you are doing it, how you are going to plan it, right? Once you are doing your inventory observation, you need to do sheet to flow, flow to sheet. What do you mean by that? Flow to sheet, sheet to flow. Systematic is done. Inventory is as at this rate, we have this kind of inventory in different locations, right? So as auditor, we are participating in inventory verification. What we have to do is we are checking sheet to flow. We select the sample from the sheet, checking the flow, the physical part. Then from that we can understand system updated, physically not available. Those things we can check. If there's a thing in the system report, but if you can't see that, there's a limitation. It's a gap. Then again, go to sheet. Go here, sheet again. So the inventory process के आप नहीं inventory दिया ना. Again, एक खाली सिनारियो करना, सेल करना, inventory sheet में अपडेट करना चाहिए. कोरोना करना नहीं है. Inventory sheet का अपडेट करना है. देखिए मेरे को damage जो ना हमारा सारा देखो. और सिनारियो तो मतलब नहीं practically. Different scenario may be totally different. Based on the investigation. These are the three scenarios we can achieve. Then imagine that flow to sheet. Once you are checking the flow, we have inventory. It's not in the system. That's a way, high risk type. Why? Here we have inventory because not came to the process. It means there's no purchase order, no material request anymore, no system records, but still we have inventory. Who are the person this was ordered, and then who is the person who acquired this inventory? All those things may be concerned. So then, my request is, once you are doing physical verification, what you have to do, you need to check flow to sheet, sheet to flow. What inventory verification is about, the budget verification. Flow to sheet, sheet to flow. Once you are doing your inventory verification, you have to do that sheet to flow, flow to sheet. And then, other than that, inventory verification may be done subsequent to the year or before to the year. So the inventory cut-off date කරලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. සමහර websites වල they are having material half of inventory, right? So they cut-off date 31st December overnight. We have only 25 days, right? Limited manpower. So then what we can do? zero count. Then what have to do? So then inventory count may be planned for December, after December, full January month, they may do the inventory count. Sometime December month, they may do the inventory count. Then what have to do? So the new financial report is that was December. The date you did the count should be reconciled with the year end. Right? That's called roll forward procedures. Roll forward working should be done. If you have done the inventory count before the year end, then what have to do? So then you have the inventory as of 20th December. You have done the count 20th December to decide. So then to arrive to the year end, what have to do? In between this process, if you have issued, that should be deducted. If you have purchased, that is paid. That roll forward procedures to the year end should be given to the auditors. And the roll forward items can be changed. You participated in inventory count. Roll forward item, if it is material, you can take a sample. If you have done the inventory count subsequent to the year end, then you have inventory balance 15th of January. Then what happens? Whatever the issuers in between the 31st December and the sale should be added. And whatever the purchases should be deducted. Then you can arrive to the previous balance. That is roll back procedures. Roll forward procedures and roll back procedures. Roll back, roll forward working should be submitted from the management to the auditors. Check that, right? So those are the basic POC and substantive procedures related to inventory, right? So then we have further details about substantive procedures. Same substantive procedures, right? Here we have the link with the accession. So this topic should be changed. This is not existent. It should be accession. Not existence. This is the topic, right? It should be accession. So the same procedure, right? දැන් ඔයා මේ ටිකත් පාඩම් කරලා substantive procedures කියන මේ ටිකත් පාඩම් කරලා full confused වෙන්න එපා. මේකේම detail එකක් තමයි මේ කියලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ summary එක reconciliation NRE testing මෙතනත් දෙකම කියනවා. Physical inventory count, third parties, check the bill and hold evidence, right? Same things. NRE testing maybe that's it. GRN, CPA matching, yes. Need to check pledged assets, right? And here we are discussing about inventory count procedure. How we are doing an inventory count and inventory cutoff. How we are going to do inventory valuation. Yes, that's it. Already we have discussed this. Inventory cutoff. Cutoff need to be discussed. Valuation we have discussed. Inventory count we have discussed. Just a matter of having some examples and discuss. So then almost inventory balance we have already discussed and completed. Right? So then hope you had a detailed understanding about accounting aspects and the related controls and audit procedures. Then rest of the things will be discussed in next lecture. And then complete payment and receivables and cash and income. We can complete both in next lecture. Then we can complete all asset side next lecture, and probably liability side is being completed soon. And then we have P&L balances, revenue, cost of sales, and other expenses and related disclosure. So then one by one we have detailed discussion and audit procedures. Then I hope you are getting more details and more knowledge from this. So want to have kind of a skepticism and real knowledge. That should be saved in your permanent life, not the sake of facing to the exam. That's the request. Yes, that's it for today. you pick up with the technical chain with trade and other receivables and cash and cash equivalents.